Well, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. It's a Sunday supplement. We're back here. It's 8 p.m. It's a new sort of thing, maybe. Who knows? We'll see how this goes. Before we get into the video, I should say, make sure you slap on a like on the video, commenting your thoughts, and subscribing. As always, to the One Leeds fan channel. There's a lot of you who are watching on Twitter and Facebook. Please make sure you consider at least starting a YouTube channel. It is quick, easy, and free. Make sure you do so, and you'll get all the additional benefits of signing up to YouTube. Priority and algorithm benefits, of course. Sign up to YouTube and subscribing to the One Leeds fan channel and all that sort of good stuff. Today, I am joined to talk about Leeds United and the chaos that has ensued this weekend. It has been madness, has to be said. And where we are in the table at this moment in time, I think there has been maybe a little bit of overreaction to certain things. But Gabe is here to maybe drag me down into thinking that there has been some problems, Conor. You are wrong, or maybe you are right. Who knows? I've not spoken to him before we've started today. Of course, he is coming to us from the American airwaves. And I welcome my good pal, Gabe. How we doing, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. I'm not here to drag you down. I'm here to dig you out.
Same thing. Who knows, man? Who knows? Yeah, good to see you back, man. Evening, Conor. Hi, Conor. Hi to everyone who smashed the likes as well. Hey, all Leeds United. Evening, pal. Leeds are going up. Hello, Conor. Make sure you slap on a like on the video as well. Doing something daft to his hair. That is a very Yorkshire thing to say, Rickard. But with the name Rickard, I don't think that is very Yorkshire, to be honest. Or maybe you are. But doing something daft to his hair. It could be either about me or it could be quite Swedish, actually. Who knows? Can we please avoid slagging off the players for once and look at the actual issue? Standing on the touchline.
Chris, I'm not going to be baited into doing this by you. It's not.
My God, it begins, everybody. It begins. It's chaos already. Gabe, welcome back. What's going on in your world, mate? All good?
Yeah. Just finally... how long do we want to spend on this rabbit hole? But I had a bunch of stuff that was meant to arrive weeks ago. It didn't. It finally has arrived, and some of it was smashed up. So I'm not happy. And it's little to do with the Millwall game. So also, we did this 2 weeks ago, and I got so many comments about how old I looked. I just decided, I've got to go back to the barbershop. It caused an existential crisis. I was like, a part of me said it was because I didn't have my whole setup. I was just on my mobile, but
dude,
another part of me was like,
bleach your hair blonde, and apparently you reduced 5 years. Apparently that's what I get told.
Yeah, well, Patty tried to do it, didn't he? A couple of times. I'm not sure it worked for him.
He did, yeah. He's got the eyeshadow though, hasn't he? Which I'm avoiding right now. Anyway, I'm sure I'll get into that.
Maybe this is an opportunity to talk about this, but what is this IPM icon in the bottom right of my screen?
This is the sponsor, Gabe.
Oh.
Have you done that on purpose?
Why don't we talk a little bit about the sponsor?
Yeah, let's talk about the sponsor. See if we plan this. IPM Group UK, everybody. All your CCTV and security needs, keep it within the Leeds United community. Rick and the gang who kindly invited me to a fair few games, to be honest with you, in their box in the South Stand. Very nice. And these chaps are sponsoring the channel throughout the full season. They've been kindly accommodating in all senses of the word. So yeah, make sure you check out IPM. First link in the description below. Gabe, do my job for me, mate. Thank you so much.
CCTV is important. Someday when I'm in and around Leeds, and if any of you are about, I'll buy you a drink and talk to you about how CCTV prevented me from coming up on charges in the UK. Yeah.
Dude, who you got in the Super Bowl anyway? Paul's right.
I didn't even realize it was today.
I didn't.
No.
It's a bigger indictment on you, to be honest with you.
It's American. Not though. I mean, I could care less about that CTE-inducing concussion game that is American football. So I'm all set. Listen, let's start talking about the reason we're here, right? So throughout,
I'm gonna do this. You guys won't have seen me do this a lot, right? Look at your screen right now. That's what I'm on right now. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling
got a bit of my area rug back there.
Maybe I'm in the hot seat right now. Who knows?
By the way, why are you shrouded in darkness? What's going on with you today?
Don't know. Just feeling quite mysterious.
He's got Leeds shirts all unorganized in the back.
Unorganized?
Yeah, mate, they're bunched. You got spacing out of it.
That's more of a you thing than a me thing, my friend. Conor needs, dude. It's 10 8 Manchester. If you're expecting sun,
You wouldn't get sun if it was like 10 a.m. in Manchester. Never mind 10 past 8.
Dude, we've been out today, the centre of Manchester, and it is overcast. That is that in Manchester, overcast is like, it's a sunny day, my friend. That's vitamin D. We have to take vitamin D tablets every single day because I'm that deficient over here. So, yeah.
All right. So, but let's talk about the real deficiency when it comes to you this season, right? So we've had this debate since the beginning of the year, right?
Let's do it.
And when I say it, let me just throw a little bit of disappointment to some people in the chat. There's nobody in this chat on this stream right now that thinks that we should sell Mateo Joseph. So if that's what you're looking for, if it's this binary thing, either he should be a starter or he's crap, you're going to be disappointed in this stream, right? Because neither of us think that. However, we have gone from, and it's not just you, Conor, many other people as well, including Oscar Marriott, which I hope he's doing well. I miss our little buddy. Talking about Joseph should be the starter from the get-go this season, right? He did have an opportunity to do that. There were some people talking about him being a 20-goal scorer this season. Thought that was a little bit ambitious. Additionally, the goalpost sort of moved a bit from him being a 20-goal scorer to a different amount of goals. And then it shifted more into the way he plays. It's not about goals, it's the way he runs off the shoulder. Then it turned into him being more of an away player. On away games, he's better than Piroe. Now, and before now, it was the players around him. If you upgrade the players around him, which, by the way, I think it's true for every footballer everywhere. If you upgrade the players around him, he'll be better. We played out the hypothetical. And the reason you made that, well, you didn't make it, but the reason the humiliating screen cap for me was made where I just look like a weird troll is I think I just don't want to hear about as if there's a debate on who should start anymore at the number 9. There is no debate. I think Joseph is, he's a 21-year-old player who's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot of natural talent. A lot of footballers do. We never see it, but sometimes with those footballers. But with Joseph, there's plenty of opportunity. I want to see him get brought along slowly. I want to see him play 1 out of every 5 matches in a starting position and then be coming on as an impact sub. If Piroe looks a little bit off, he's having a bad run of games, start Joseph for a match or 2. I'm happy with that. I don't want to hear any more of this as if it's a debate. Yoel Piroe is the number 2 scorer in the league, right? If he was mid statistically, if he wasn't bagging goals, then I would understand, hey, maybe we have a problem at the number 9. We don't. We have the 2nd leading scorer in the league. It is the championship. Not saying he's going to pull up trees in any other division, but for this division where we're at now, I just don't think it's a debate anymore. Whether you put Gnonto in the number 10, whether you put Ramazani in the number 10, I just think we need to leave it alone. And as a fan base, I think we need to take some of the pressure off this kid. And I think Yoel Piroe is the most criticized player in our pool. And I don't understand it. I mean, Conor, name one other player on our team that you have a nickname for that's deprecating. You don't.
No, but
you don't. You call the guy Piroe when he has a bad game.
No, but it's not deprecating.
It's not deprecating.
If he goes
someone anonymous Piroe,
get out of here. Does he go anonymous? Yes or no?
Every player.
And is it abundantly?
Mateo Joseph had 26 touches yesterday in 90 minutes. I've never seen a more anonymous match all season for any player. It's the lowest of any outfield player we've had over 90 minutes in the entire season, cup or league. So I don't want to hear it.
I'd give context, but there's no points. I'm part of the JDL, the Joseph Defense League. So there's no.
But you don't need to be, because I think again, we don't have to have this binary conversation. Oh, it's crap. Should have sold him for 10 million. Meh. That's nonsense. 21-year-old player. I want to see him come good. I think that there are fans, and I'm not saying this is an illogical position, but there are fans who will see flashes of moments from players, and especially young players, and will say, okay, give them the keys to the kingdom. And I think that's too much for a young player. So
he's not Piroe's not the most criticized part of this squad, man. If you're watching I don't know where you're getting that from. He's not where is he the most criticized? If anything, you're getting more of the fan base. Like what he produces,
There is
Yeah,
nobody
but
in our team. No. For what he produces, what he gives us, there is nobody that gets as much stick in the team as Yoel Piroe. Every single time that people criticize his body language, his facial expression, looks like he can't be asked, doesn't run, takes up all the same positions. I don't want to hear it. It's for a guy that's second leading scorer in the division, who scored a bunch of goals for us last year. Nobody's ever satisfied. It's always about play Joseph, get another number 9. Who are we going to get in this division that's going to give us his output?
I've never said that.
We're not just talking about you. You said I'm telling you everything I've heard.
Yeah, but I've never said get rid of Piroe. If I was on the bandwagon, and this is the thing, and me and you've spoken about this off air as well. People don't listen. So they come in with their own narratives and they just want to badger it with you. The whole narrative. You
never said get rid of Piroe. However, you did say that you think Joseph should be the starter. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Do you agree that now that's put to bed?
But there's also context that needs to be applied to that in certain aspects. Like I think in certain games, I've always made the case that, for example, since the start of the season, here's a question. Why did Daniel Farke start the season with him then? Why has Daniel Farke started the season with him? If he's so convinced on Joel Piroe, and Piroe did well last season, me and you have had this debate before. Me and you had this debate last season about who should be in the number 9. Rutter or Piroe. Why did Farke start the season with Matteo Joseph?
But now you're slipping perspective. We're talking about yours and my perspective, and now you're trying to pivot me into why Daniel Farke made the decisions he made. I have no idea why Daniel Farke makes the decisions he makes. I want to know why you wanted to start him.
Well, who's ultimately right? Me, you, or Daniel Farke? It's Daniel Farke, isn't it? So we've got to try and understand why Daniel Farke thinks the way he does. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
We don't, because most of the time, we dig up Daniel Farke for his subs in every circumstance. There's not a Leeds United fan I've met that's happy with Daniel Farke's selection all of the time, subs all the time. There was a good comment in the chat just now. I think it's too long past to find it, but they quite rightly point out that Meslier is probably the most criticized. I think what I mean is, so I'll reframe. You're
saying based on success, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. There's nobody that is as impactful in our squad quantitatively and on the pitch, whether you're watching or just reading the stat sheet, which I don't think you should just do one or the other. You should do both.
Yeah.
Who gets as much stick as Piroe does? Meslier gets stick because he's a bad keeper. That's simple. Gnonto gets stick because he's a super talented guy who only acts like a third of the time he plays. That's why he gets stick. Piroe, if he was a guy that could score every single match, he wouldn't be playing in the championship. When we think of all the strikers who have been through this division or any of the attacking players who have that level of consistency, guess what? They don't end up in the championship for long, right? So the Tonys of the world, and when you look at it, I just think it's so harsh to take a guy with the output he's had and say that give him a nickname for Paronimus, and then additionally be calling.
We've spoken about that, and you've agreed with that. Everyone's agreed.
I've never agreed with the nickname. Never.
So you don't think he's ever been anonymous in games?
I think every single
we've never spoken about that.
I think every single footballer comes in and out of matches attacking wise, especially at the striker position. Joseph had the lowest amount of touches all season, and your reaction to it was he was getting bad service.
Are you talking about yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't think he was? So you think he was getting service?
No. What I'm saying is, you cannot say on one hand, well, he's anonymous because he's not getting the ball, and then characterize another guy as just habitually anonymous.
Yeah, but we're basing that on consistent performances. The reason, the time that when I've spoken about Piroe as being anonymous, there has potentially been, especially last season in particular, there has been, bear in mind, Daniel Farke put him out of the squad towards Christmas and the New Year because he was anonymous in games, still scoring goals. 1 in 3.
We know that Daniel Farke took him out because he was, quote, anonymous in games.
1 in 3, that he took him out because he was anonymous. This season, my whole point is that took him out. But there hasn't been a massive change in Piroe. There hasn't been a huge change. He's still doing exactly what Piroe did last season. He's still anonymous in games, but he's scoring goals. That's always been the case with Piroe.
It's the case with most strikers.
It might be. But there is. If you're not watching
Harry Kane for Tottenham, tell me these other strikers that are so involved from the first minute to the 90th minute. Let's take Harry Kane out of it. Because I'll tell you, Haaland isn't. Mbappe isn't.
Right. But
Ivan Toney isn't.
But what have I said Are you talking about? So are you saying yesterday Piroe would have done a little bit more than what Joseph would have done? Is that what you're saying? Is that what the context is here? Are we basing this game?
I think
on
it's
game?
an unfair comparison because I like right now I don't even think they're in the same league. I mean,
they're different players.
Physically, they're in the same league.
They're completely different players. Completely different players.
I don't think they're completely different players. They both play
the
number
same
9
player.
Position. No. What I'm saying is, see, you're obfuscating the argument. What we're talking about is you cannot say for one, get on someone's back for being anonymous and then shift the narrative to say, well, this guy was anonymous because he didn't get enough service. Sorry, we controlled 64% of possession and he only touched the ball 26 times. Is that a problem with the system, with the players around him? He had the guy in the 10 that you wanted to have, right? He had all the players around. Ramazani was in the match. Gnonto was in the match. And now I'm in this position where it sounds like I'm just digging out Joseph as if I think he's a bad player. I don't. I'm saying we cannot slip out of a mode of criticism for one player and then curve our criticism for another, because what it seems like is that we're looking for things to dig out for one player and not for the other, because they do play the same position and they're asked to do the same things in this system. So for all intents and purposes, yes, they have different attributes, but for all intents and purposes, they're playing the same role in this team, right? But do you disagree with that?
I think they're playing the same role, yeah. I think they're playing the same role.
So they should probably be analyzed and criticized the same way.
I think there's only one way you can analyze and criticize them the same way when we've been realistic, and that's to spread the games out amongst the championship season in equal fashion, which you're never going to get. So
to give them all the equal playing time.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the right way of doing it. I think there's a lot of context that can be applied here. I think you even look at yesterday. Joseph's playing, and I think there's a lot of context in terms of this is the thing. Like,
but you're illustrating my point for me. I don't know anybody else. I don't know anybody else.
Let me just make this point. You're putting me in a really tricky position here, because you're essentially saying that this is the position you're coming across. If I'm here defending Joseph consistently, that, quite frankly, is absolute rubbish.
No, you do criticize his play. 100%. I agree with you
because
there.
Right now, there's one player that should be starting. Right now, yesterday, Joseph wasn't good enough. He was not good enough. And the watch-along was unequivocally proving that. For me, the link-up play from him was shabby. It wasn't good enough. My whole opinion on Joseph is to not chuck the baby out the bathwater, which I think a lot of fans are doing. It's get rid of him for 10 million quid, bring in Archer, as if the long-term strategy is bringing in Cameron Archer in the Premier League when he scored 6 goals in 60 games. That's a really good strategy. So why not we at least get to the Premier League? If we do get to the Premier League, and maybe there's a potential loan for Joseph, we get him back if he is successful, which I think he would be. If he came back to Leeds United, then who knows? Maybe we sell him for more. Maybe he acclimatizes. I don't think it's as linear as to say that Joseph right now isn't doing well in the Championship, so then he couldn't acclimatize to the Premier League, because we've seen with Rutter that, he scored 6 goals last season. He's gone up to the Premier League. He's already scored 4. It's not a correlation all the time. You look at Willy Gnonto. He was better in the Premier League than what he has been.
He was better for 4 or 5 matches, and that's my big frustration with the player.
That's true, but he was better in the Premier League. He was the star guy in the Premier League for Leeds United. Somerville wasn't. It was Gnonto. Every team was doubling up on Willy Gnonto, so it's not as linear to say all the time that, because they're not performing right now, they wouldn't work in the Premier League.
But that's a different argument than saying that we should start. That's a different argument.
It is, and you're telling me, but we're looking at real specific points here. You're telling me to compare Joseph and
not
Piroe.
For potential, for suitability to play right now.
Yeah,
you have been on this hypothetical kick, and you're not the only one, by the way. Managers do this all the time, by the way. Managers will take a good squad, right? So this isn't like some bonkers, irrational thing that idiots do. This is like a thing that lots of people do. They'll take a winning side and they'll say, do you know what? We're doing well, but I think we could be better. And they get a little bit too clever. They try to play somebody in a new position. Sometimes they're like, and sometimes it works. Sometimes you see players convert over to new positions because, like, quite frankly, do I think that Aronson is the best number 10 in this division? No, of course I don't. Do I think that he's going to be a feasible Premier League player? Just Google me and Leeds United on Reddit, and you'll find with Reddit, and you'll find there's this whole thing about how I said he'll never be a Premier League footballer, and I stand by that. That being said, Piroe and Aronson are like the same type of player in this one way. They're like that. You know that kid in high school who has a really solid girlfriend. She's a nice girl. She's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Maybe she dressed a bit modestly. She doesn't have an edgy personality, right? And then that guy turns his head and he sees a girl come in with a leather jacket on, black eyeliner, and he's like, I want to date that girl. Yeah. You have no idea what that girl's like in a relationship. That girl could be a disaster. She could steal all your money. You have no idea. And you messed with a good thing because your eye is turned on a couple moments. And I think this is the only thing I'll really poke at you with. I think that you do this with certain players because you see flashes of what they could be and you want to plug them in now. And I don't know anybody else other than this fan base that would have the second leading goal scorer in the season. And he's been up there in the top 5 for most of the year, by the way. So it's not just this figure, and say, let's play the kid who hasn't scored goals, who has the worst blown big chances number in our team. And that's not me. Again, young player. Like, I'm not even saying that he shouldn't be in the squad. I'm just saying it's such disproportionate. The achievement level here, the achievement level here right now to say, let's take this guy out and put this guy in. It's always struck me as bonkers. And I'm just ready to hear you say, I think I need to hear you say it, that we're done calling for Joseph to start.
I said that yesterday.
Yeah, but I need to hear you say it again.
Yeah, right. No, we are. All
right.
I'm not.
So you're not going to send me a WhatsApp message every time Piroe miscontrols and say, see?
No, but this is once again, this is one of these things where it's not, as I keep saying, it's not one of those things of which I haven't said. It's just, I believe in this young man.
You would be a great youth coach. You'd be great.
By the way, we've spoken about this off air. Imagine the belief in Joe Gelhardt. The belief in Joe Gelhardt.
Yeah.
And the line certain fans gave Joe Gelhardt. It is Joseph's first frigging season.
Yeah. No, I fully agree.
Some of the things I'm seeing online is absolutely mad. It's absolutely mad. Get rid of him. He's crap. He's this, that, and the other. It's a 21-year-old lad.
And because Joffrey has one good moment against Brighton, but big moment, by the way, not taking anything away from him, one big moment, there are certain people in this fan base that will want to see him we should have given Joffrey a chance. And those same people don't want to give Joseph a chance. I fully agree with you.
Can I just make a point here? Wonderful Life. Pretty sure Conor said that Joseph is suited for away games. Yeah, 100% I did. I think the better
he and Oscar, by the way. I've just been like, I'm not on that, but yes.
We both said this when it comes to certain styles, but there's a tactical imprint in this. But I understand that the tactical imprint in this maybe doesn't suit the black and white feature as to if he scores goals, he stays in the side. 100%. I understand that. I've said previously that I think Piroe and Joseph would work synonymously together. I think that would work. I think you're getting someone who's stretching the line and someone who's deep in that number 10 position who will be able to make up maybe the further person working on that defender, picking up with the second balls, potentially with Brendan Harrison maybe sitting out. Look, that's never going to happen.
Harrison's 14th in the league in scoring. I would never take him out.
Yeah, but you're so black and white. You're so black and white with everything. You're so black and white. It's unbelievable, mate. You are.
But you're talking about taking a kid who's never done it and saying, do you know what? This guy, Joseph, you're talking about a kid, but you're basically saying this. This is what I'll never get it. You're saying, what if? Let's take out a guy who, again, at this division is giving us good shifts, right? Giving us good output, gives us a lot on the press as well. Imperfect player, but it's not like you're saying, hey, this guy on this other team, we have a chance of signing him. He's like the best number 10 in the division. That conversation I'd have. Or statistically, he's better in all these areas than Aronson. That conversation I'd have. Instead, what you're saying is, let's put in a guy who's never shown over a period of time, and he shouldn't be able to do that because he's only 21. Let's shoehorn him in the team and drop this other guy who's giving us really good output just so we can try to make this player that I want to see get a run in. That's like, it's an over.
Why do I want to see him get a run in? Why do I want to see?
I don't know, because it's this idea that it's this mythical idea that we could have better. I don't think that you're going to get a lot better at this division without spending money, and we don't want to do that. I don't have any evidence that Joseph and Piroe together would be better than Aronson in the 10 and Piroe at the 9. What evidence do we have to say that it would be any better? I just don't think we have it.
But you're purely basing this on evidence, and you've gone.
Yes.
But you previously said on this channel when Joseph's coming, you would keep Joseph in the position that he's in because he's doing things that Piroe isn't doing. You've said this on the channel before.
I don't recall saying that, but let's say you're right. I won't.
But you cannot just. You can't just base.
I do think you have to base arguments on evidence. Like inherently, I think.
No, I understand that. I completely understand that. You inherently have to do that. Of course you do. You are right. But there's some things that you haven't seen before, and when you then try them, it could potentially work.
But Conor,
we're talking about
if a manager did that,
yeah,
like at this point in the season, said, you know what, 5 points clear, a number 10 with all the holes in this game, and we agree there are a lot of them, especially at the next division, but in the championship it's more than adequate. It's above average, right? A striker, second in the league in scoring, goal output way more than any other team. I'm not sure what the record is for goals scored in the season in the championship, but I have to think that potentially we could make a run at it.
It's about 30 31, I think.
Right. So and we'd say, like, if a manager said, hey, let's change it, not for a new player coming in with more credentials, but with an untested 21-year-old that in the limited opportunities he's had hasn't done great, I think if it didn't work out, that manager would deserve to be sacked, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I am more than so for me, the centre forward, I think Leeds, when you look at the amount of goals that we've scored this season, the 3 in behind the centre forward are way more important than the centre forward. So I don't think it would be absolutely criminal right now to play Joseph in certain games. Look, you might turn around.
No, that's different. That's different. Playing rotating him in because he does deserve to get game time. I don't think you glue his ass to the bench and just forget about him, right?
Yeah.
Like I do think and it's not as if he's ever come on in the 70th minute and given us a total stinker. I don't remember that. I've seen him not be particularly good over 90 minutes, but I can't remember a performance where he's come on in like the 75th where I've been like, oh Christ, like I haven't seen that. Maybe it's happened in the chat. Remind me, but I don't think so. And I don't necessarily think that Piroe needs to be a guy that you start 15 matches in a row either. So I'm happy with seeing Joseph get rotated, but I'm not going to, if everyone's fit in a big match, I'm not going to say, you know what? Let's start Joseph at the 9 and bring Piroe in at the 10. Because, by the way, everybody in this fan base for the past 2 seasons, all they've said is Piroe isn't a 10, Piroe isn't a 10, Piroe isn't a 10. So why would we then do that? Like,
because
what could we possibly improve?
Because you're not
applying on the leather jacket with the eyeliner. We don't know if it's any better.
It's not. You're not applying any.
Great.
You're not applying any context with it. You're now talking about something completely separate. You're saying, for the last 2 years, we've not started Piroe in the number 10. Why would we start in the Piroe in the number 10 now? Well, because
but we have started him in. Remember, everybody would say Piroe.
Because last season
we're
talking about Piroe with Rutter. It's completely different. It's a completely different conversation. If you're talking about
Bamford at times.
Right, but yeah, Bamford's
what did we say? But what did we say when he was in? Piroe is not a 10.
Yeah, but also who came in for Piroe last season and started with Rutter? Why did the manager make that decision?
But we're not talking about what the manager would do. We're talking about what we would do. It's all hypothetical.
Oh my God. Well, okay. But you're telling me.
I think you would tinker a great team to death. That's what I think. I think your relentless pursuit of mythical perfection, you would hurt a good thing. That's what I think you'd do because it's never enough.
You think even though I've told you right now, Piroe should be starting every single.
Yes.
Look,
you would pull Aronson just to get Joseph in that squad. Yes or no?
No, not right now.
Okay, all right.
Not right now. And
I thought he was going to say yes, chat.
And back to the comments about me starting Joseph in certain games. The reason I would start Joseph in certain games is because I think when they're up against 3 centre-backs, I think then when they're up against the physical side, I think Joseph is much better at stretching the opposition.
If the side plays a high line, I think you're right. But when they don't, I don't think he's any better. In fact, I think he's a shade worse because I think his close control isn't quite as good as Piroe's.
Who's close control is better than Piroe's?
No, Joseph's. What? No, I said it wasn't. I said I think you're right to put that Joseph has attributes that others don't have, running off a high line.
Yeah, because he's a 9, which Rutter never was, which Piroe probably isn't either.
But what I'm saying is that most teams don't do that. Most teams hunker down. So I'm not necessarily sure that those attributes always translate. I haven't seen a lot of teams play high lines. When they do, they pay for it.
No, but I think against like when we look at a Coventry who are playing a high line, for instance, a team away.
By the way, I know you said this, but what an idiot Frank is to play a high line.
No, it's really annoying.
No. Keep going. I'm sorry. Go on. I just wanted to make fun of Frank, but go on.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if you've got a unit and they're pressing up as a unit, you saw when he came on, he's getting behind the line. So that's not novel. People think that is literally just synonymous to Piroe. I don't mind Piroe. You're talking to me about the argument here, and I understand that. I completely get it. We're doing this so it's a bit engaging for people. I understand that, but my whole argument is for certain games, I think Joseph is a little bit more adaptable. Look, Piroe,
he has physical attributes Piroe doesn't have. On paper, I do think there are matchups. And you've said this before. We've said this before. Matchups make fights, and I totally agree with you. That is a different thing than wanting him to be the main guy week in, week out, which seems like your position has evolved over time. And I want to give you credit for that because you can change your mind, right? So it seems like your mind has changed. That don't think Joseph's quite ready to be the week in, week out starter.
Is Piroe a Premier League striker for you? Yes or no?
No.
Right. Is Joseph got the potential to be a Premier League striker or not?
I don't know, but I at 24, I think that Piroe's ceiling to improve is probably a little bit more limited, and we've seen him over a longer period of time. He's played a lot of matches for a guy.
Attribute-wise, which striker would acclimatise better to the Premier League?
I don't know because I just don't think
I'm asking your perception. Attribute-wise. When you look at both players, attribute-wise, what player is more synonymous with the Premier League, Piroe or Joseph?
You would say Joseph,
right?
But here's why I'm not ready to say that I think he's just going to acclimatize to the Premier League. On paper, Jack Harrison has all the attributes to be a Premier League player.
No,
100%. Yes, he
does. No, he doesn't.
On paper, you don't think so. You don't think his physical attributes are good for the Premier League.
No.
You just hate Jack. Come on.
I hate everyone. Pierce just said, this is so funny. You can't have a debate.
I did see this from Pierce.
This is the thing. We can't. So you hate Joseph.
I couldn't wait to see you perceive that comment. I couldn't wait because I was like, there it is, and he's gonna get angry.
No. It's look, there's a lot of people.
But so you don't. That's fine if you don't think Jack has the physical attributes to make it in the Premier League. The point is, I think there are a lot of guys in the league that have the physical tools, but they don't have the application. And there are plenty of guys that don't necessarily have great physical tools that are really impactful Premier League players because they have the application. What I don't know about Joseph right now, that's primarily what I don't know. And I'm not saying he doesn't. I don't know. I haven't seen that he has the application or the consistency to make it in the Premier League. If you're a Premier League footballer, you're either a super talented guy or you're somebody that plays above his station because of effort and application, right? So it's the most difficult league to make it in. The pressure's higher than in every other league. I don't know that he has it. But at 21, I'm more willing to say versus 24. And Piroe feels like an old 24 because he doesn't have some of the speed and some of the other physical attributes. I think Piroe's ceiling, we know what the ceiling is. I don't know what the ceiling is with Joseph. However, if you're asking me, like, if I was in a decision-making capacity at any club, or whether it be Leeds or whatever, I probably wouldn't take that risk. I would say, well, let's carry him but first I want to loan him out to a team that is going to promise playing time. And I want to see how he does when he's given the opportunity. Because Leeds is a little bit too high stakes. We can't afford to have somebody learning on the job right now.
Yeah. No, all fair. I don't know where to start with this, to be honest.
Go on.
Where should we get? It's just me hating Piroe, mate. So it's me hating Piroe. This is Piroe is not a 9, a 10, or a 9. Needs another person with him, same as Joseph. It's
well, Chris, if he's not a 10 or a 9, then what is he? Just an amalgamous attacking player, like just a sort of ambiguously attacking footballer in no natural position. I mean, he is a 9. He just doesn't have some of the physical attributes. And to be honest, the game's changed anyway. There aren't a lot of target men in English football anymore. I mean, we can think of the big names, but As I say that, I'm thinking about Chris Wood, who, by the way, most people didn't want at Leeds United. I was thinking about that the other day. They didn't want Nuno. They didn't want Slot. They didn't want Chris Wood. Who else did we not want?
Oh, mate, the exposure.
Not good enough for Lee.
Yeah, David Moyes as well.
David Moyes.
No way, they wouldn't say.
Once
David
again,
Moyes
is doing a job. People would have taken Dyche over Moyes. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I think. Look, I think overall, I think. The thing is, this is what annoys me, and you've got this, and me and you had a chat off air, and look, I had to take a breath or two yesterday. Yesterday was probably the most heated stream I've ever done.
I literally almost
I need a boxing bag. I swear to God, after we came off that stream yesterday, I was so hot. Which has never happened before, to be honest with you. But I think I took a few breaths, but I had to get to a point of which I now have to unequivocally, after every single stream, say how much I love Aronson and how much I love Piroe.
And how much you love Solomon. Don't forget
how
Solomon.
much I love Solomon. That's another. And Gruev, and basically I have to patter to certain members of the fan base.
Conor, let me pause you. I'm so sorry. Can you pull up Tim Bowe's comment?
No, mate, because I've been getting slagged off this whole stream.
Pull up Tim Bowe.
I'm not getting.
He's a member of the channel. We got to pull him up.
Let me just
It says he's a false anonymous 9. I can't. You better be pulling my leg, Tim. A false anonymous. I'm the second leading scorer in the league. Just tell me you're kidding, so I can like leave the stream later with my mental health intact. Tell me you're joking, Tim. All right. Sorry,
what's he saying here? Which is so like, this is the thing. This is the thing about you being so black and white. You do not.
I'm not that black and white.
No, you are. You are, because there'll be 5 away games of which he is anonymous. He's not even in the game. Leeds are playing with 10 men, and you would never, ever say, well, let's switch it up a little bit because he scored the most amount of goals. That is for me. That's
where are you getting that? I wouldn't switch it up a bit. I literally said you don't need to start a guy like Piroe. I said it less than 20 minutes ago. You don't need to start a guy like Piroe 15 matches in a row or something. That Joseph should be getting game time. You can start him and then use him as a regular sub. Like if he's having a rough run of games, again, just roll back the tape. Yeah, sub him in for a match, but I wouldn't make a permanent change to have some kid who doesn't score goals just yet. So you're
bringing Joseph in for a match, and then when all the manager, if let's say he doesn't make an impact, let's say the game doesn't meet his style or whatever, let's say it's a tougher game for Joseph. There's a little bit of context that can be applied, right? Yeah. So if Joseph comes in and look, he might do really well, or he might do really poorly. Yeah. You think it's great to bring Joseph in for one match and one match only. And if he doesn't hit those heights, we've seen even this weekend, the fan base have gone in on him. He's 21 years of age. Do you not think he needs a consistent period of game time to be able to then maybe hit those levels?
Every player for every club everywhere is going to have the same argument that if we just see him longer, it'll come good. Here's what I would do if I was the manager, because we talk a lot about what Farka should do. This is what I would actually do. I'd say, Matteo, you could be our striker of the future. Right now, I've got a guy who gives me 17 goals plus a season. At the minimum, he's going to be the guy I roll with. However, you're going to play a really important part. You are going to get starts, but most of what your role is going to be is an impact sub off the bench. So you'll start one every 5-6 matches or something like that, depending on who we play, home or away. And you will get sub appearance. Here's how I want you to do. I want to see the work rate. I want to see consistency in your performances, and I want to see you be impactful off the bench. And when you get an opportunity to start, I want to see you finish your chances. That's like your goal for the season at the end of the year. And at the end of the year, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying but you clearly communicate as the manager what your expectations are for the player. And at the end of the year,
so you're telling him nothing. You're telling him nothing really there, right?
No, it's not. Because if you don't tell him anything, he'll be like, well, the manager's just played me once out of every 5 matches. I don't understand why he plays me. Like, or he's only using me as a sub. Am I going to have a chance to start? No, like, that clear expectation and saying at the end of the season we'll reevaluate, and if we see some real improvement over the season, you'll have a chance to contend for the starting role. We won't just ship you out on loan. You know what I mean? Like that. As a footballer, I'd like to hear that. Like if I'm in the pecking order behind a center half and someone says, hey Gabe, listen, we're going to start you in cup matches, that's your opportunity. If you can really be impactful, then we'll get you in the mix for more starts. Then my focus would be on locking up whatever striker is playing against me on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just roll out. And I don't understand why don't we just roll out every young player who we want to see how they're doing and bench the guys? If Piroe was mid, right, in the championship, I would say you have a point. I would say give him more run. But no, of course I'm going to ride with a guy that's elite in this division because he's elite in this division. I'm not going to sit him for a guy that needs to have 7 or 8 games to show me he could do something comparable. No way. I'd lose my job.
I don't disagree. To be honest, I don't really know what we're arguing about here. I'm not. I don't.
You asked me, so I answered.
I don't. This stream was your idea.
It was, yeah.
I like it, but it's more disagreement than I've ever had on a stream. But it's one of those things where, like, I'm not. I don't disagree with you. I think there's more. Like, I think maybe people said that maybe I'm not articulating it. Words here, articulating it in the right way. Who knows? But I do think styles make fights a little bit. I think certain strikers make certain games. But what I do agree on, and people just don't want to hear this. I've said this to you for 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We've been talking off air about it. Piroe deserves to start right now. What I'm not willing to do is, when we've got the Premier League in our sights, just absolutely dish off this young kid. I'm not willing to do it. I'm not willing to do it with the fan base.
I don't think we should do it.
Massive amounts of the fan base gave such leverage to Greenwood and Gelhardt. I'm just not willing to do it. I think there is a genuine footballer in there. I think when he's got a little bit more game time, whether or not that's with us or whether or not that's with another championship club,
I think we're going to get a player here. No matter what, whether he's with us or somewhere else, he has to be. And I don't think we sell. And you're 100% right. We agree. That's why we said at the beginning of the stream, like, anybody's saying that we should sell a 21-year-old who hasn't had a run of games and has the kind of physical. I commented on it in, what I think about preseason. I think it's useless. But what it is interesting is to see how much players physically change every single year. I remember in the preseason, I was like, God, Joseph looks a lot bigger. Like, he's grown a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would like to see him. You certainly aren't going to start him in the Premier League next year. Like, no matter what.
He's not sure on him. Barker's not sure on him. Nowhere. I'm not convinced on it. I'm not convinced on it.
I'm not going to go in that direction now.
I'm just not sure on it. It's a personal perspective. I'm not sure he's convinced on him. I think you look at last season. I think you look at him like 1-3 towards December, January, and I know once again context. I think we ignore context so much. It's like yesterday, Joseph. It's like, with the greatest respect, it's a completely different team. 10 changes. Joseph should should grab it by the scruff of the neck. Agreed. Was he poor? Look, 2 things can be right. Was he poor? Yes. Link up was, I thought, abysmal. And I made that clear. Listen, people, I made that clear 54 times on the stream. People can conclude to ignore it. That's absolutely fine. What I've also said is, when you're getting no service to him whatsoever, I think we've got to have a conversation about that as well. 2 things can be right. That, in my opinion. However, when I'm looking at an opportunity right at the end where I think Gnonto's firing the ball across the box and he's not there to tap it in, I'm thinking, well, I'm saying consistently that Joseph should be at points in certain games, because I think his perception and movement and interpretation in the box is very good. So I think when you're getting a ball fired into the box, I think, he's got to be there. I think the problem with Joseph right now is he's trying too hard. I think he's rash, and I think he's coming towards the ball. And what Joseph needs to do is stay in the box. And I think what you're doing right now is he's trying way too hard. Someone said to me the other day, they said, he looks like he can't be arsed. That is absolute rubbish.
It drives me crazy. Rubbish. I agree. I don't think there's anybody. People have said that about Piroe as well. I just don't think it's true. Some people just have, just their body language is different. If he wasn't trying hard, say whatever you want about Daniel Farke, but if he wasn't trying, Daniel Farke wouldn't play him at all. Daniel Farke is the kind of guy he would, if you were a sub and you weren't out there running, he would substitute the sub. You know what I mean? Like,
do you want to pivot on to Gnonto here?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Everyone's favorite.
Why not?
Wait. Hang on, Jeff, I never said Piroe gives us a lot in the press. Just making stuff up. Never.
Hey, you've got that. Mate, I've been getting hammered in this chat. You need to just take it, mate. I'm just looking at it and thinking, right, we've got to roll with it.
I just wonder where it comes from. Like, what? I've never said he gives us a lot in the press.
Big up, Jeff. Jeff's right.
Piroe? Oh, Jeff.
Jeff.
You're probably lying about your name as well. Your name's probably Bob. All right. I guess let's talk about Gnonto.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
No. Listen.
Yeah.
He
Okay. Well, I'll start. I know he frustrates you.
Yeah.
And get your thoughts in the chat, everybody, about Gnonto and
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think we're moving into a conversation here, and I've mentioned it previously. I don't think it's a conversation right now about Gnonto or Aronson or Piroe or Joseph. I think we're moving into a conversation of the 49ers should have backed Daniel Farke in January. That's where I think this is moving toward. I think there's passion towards the Piroe or Joseph debate or Aronson or Gnonto or Ramazani, whatever in the number 10. But I don't think it's actually about that. I think a lot of this is based on why didn't the 49ers back, Daniel Farke in the winter window, go and get a 10, go and get a 9. So I think right now what you're seeing a lot of, and that's not to
you mean how the fans are responding.
Yeah, and that's not to take away. That's not to take away. That's not to take away from the fact that maybe like Joseph hasn't been good enough when he's been on, which I completely agree with. In certain games, I don't think he's been good enough. Like yesterday, don't think he was good enough. But Gnonto, I think he's getting a lot of heat at the minute. And look, we looked at the game yesterday, and I know me and you have spoken about this. I think because we've got such high standards for Willy Gnonto and what we expected of him at this level, I think that's maybe translating a bit of frustration now. But I do think, for example, in that game yesterday, I thought the entire Leeds offensive structure was crap. I thought it was all crap. I thought we were poor. I thought we were disjointed. I didn't think there was that much quality. But once again, I thought there was a lot of heat on Willy Gnonto. And I think that the big thing to take away from this game, and me and you have spoken about this, I think Piroe has been fit for, I think now it's 76 of 78 games. So he's not going to be brought out. So this conversation is completely irrelevant, really, when it comes to the striker, because
it's about rotation, really.
Because it's just about rotation. If worse comes to where, Joseph might fit in for 2 or 3 games. That might be it. And is that going to be the worst case thing? I don't think so. But then I think the secondary thing is Aronson, who's never, ever injured. It feels like he's available all the time, which is great. And I think the secondary option, I don't think Daniel Farke's that worried about doing it, to be honest with you. I do think he would put wingers in the 10. I think that's just a little bit of a myth. But I think as well, I don't think the wingers, when they've played in the 10, have been that bad. But I think it more focuses on fans maybe saying that they're bad. This is my perspective, because they wanted a new shiny toy in January, and that's where it all comes from. That's my perspective. That's where I think it all comes from.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's just go one at a time here. My criticism of Willy Gnonto is always because of the talent. There's a player at Bournemouth who used to play for Leeds. Everyone knows him, Luis Sinisterra. On paper, attributes and talent-wise, should be doing so much more with his career, in my opinion. He's never fit. When he plays, he has kind of a gallivanting style, very casual. And you wonder what his application is like in training. And everybody who's ever played football, I've had guys like this on my team. Well, it's only because they're so talented. And you're like, man, if you had a work rate, who knows what you'd be? And they're extra frustrating in that way. Because I've played a lot.
Why has he not got a work rate? Where's that come from?
Who?
You talking about Gnonto?
No, Sinisterra. Sorry,
my bad. Go on.
Gnonto's a player. So all that was about Sinisterra, just for everybody, because that's confused me. When I look at Willy Gnonto, I'm not sure why it hasn't come together in the championship, because his numbers are decent, but for a guy of his talent, I wonder why he was at the club he was at before. Because I was like, if he's this good, surely a big Italian club would have invested him as a young player. There's something about his game that doesn't seem to translate. I don't know if it's application. I have no idea how he trains. I just don't know. I'm not in the know. I'm not there. He disappoints me, because when I've seen, and maybe it's like, we talk a lot about who players really are, and that they're who you are over time. That's why data is important, because we tend to only remember recency. We don't remember things over time. That's why tracking this stuff is good, but you still have to watch. When I watch him, he should be killing guys in this division.
And there's a step up in the Premier League again. I think it's very similar. I think it's very similar to other players. I think in the Championship, he's worse than what he's going to be in the Premier League. I genuinely
but Conor, I don't think that.
I'm not saying that's good enough. I'm not saying that's good enough. And when we're talking about standards, but I think we know when we're talking about Willy.
I've seen players in top divisions have like a purple patch out of control. There was this American at Schalke years ago who scored like in 5 straight matches. And then he like never scored again. He's riding the bench from Middlesbrough right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's who Willy Gnonto is, but I just don't understand why he comes in and out of matches. He's not, I think the reason he gets a lot of stick is because in a game like that, he should be killing that Millwall back line. He should be a threat every time the ball hits his feet. He's not. I don't understand it. I don't know why. It's all speculation because I don't know anything.
He was our best attacking player yesterday. He was,
but he was our best attacking player in a dreadful match. Like the quarter of a goal XG is not a good number. You know what I mean? It may have been better than everybody else, but like,
it's still the most we've had. So
we had in that match, but it's rubbish. So like he was the best of a bad bunch yesterday, and unfortunately, maybe it's not fair, but you do apply different standards to different people based on their talent level, right? So I just am like, I don't know what's up with him, but if he's not careful, he's gonna blink, and his career's gonna be mid-20s. He's never going to have put it together. There are a ton of super talented players languishing in the lower leagues
because 21, they didn't have the application. 21.
He's played a lot of football is the point.
He's 21.
That's what I'm saying. He's played a lot of football. I'm not saying he will be this way. I'm just saying 2 seasons in the Championship. Have you really seen anything that's like, I would pay 50 million for him.
Well, what are the standards then? What are the standards? Because we've brought him in for 4 million it was from FC Zurich. So what are the standards? They're our own standards.
You're right. They are 100%. I'm not gonna back away from that. There are our own standards based on what we've seen. I think that he should have an output. It doesn't have to be exactly what Somerville's was last season because Somerville's a slightly different player, but he should be killing guys in this league. I should be feeling that because he's that talented and because he's a player who takes on other players.
So you do rate him then? So there's got to be a level to him.
Yeah, but I rate him as a talent, not necessarily as a player. And there's 2 differences. A player is who you show up in the matches and who you are when you play over a run period of time. It's not like I've only seen a couple matches of Gnonto. I've been disappointed with him more than I've been enamored with him when I've watched him play. And I hate that. Sure, if you were his teammate, would you be frustrated or satisfied?
I don't know.
I'd be frustrated. I'd say Willy.
If you're talking about yesterday, I mean, he doesn't. What get
over the season? Well, if you were his teammate and you were sat with him going to a match one time, and he was like, and you guys were just talking, and you were leader on the team, would you say, Willy, listen, you should be killing these guys?
What am I getting frustrated about? Like, what am I getting? I'm getting Dan James and Gnonto performing every.
I'm not talking about our overall. His contribution.
No, but I get upset with Willy Gnonto if he was being relied on every single week. He was getting played 90 minutes.
He should be the main man for this team.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault.
Yes, it is. He hasn't stepped up and done it.
But when was the last game he started?
Conor, I can't name 3 matches where I was really impressed with him this season. He lost his spot because he was not compelling. And Dan James came in for as much as, and Dan James doesn't have the ability to take over. He's taken his chances. And Dan James doesn't have the attributes to take over games like Willy Gnonto does, to be a menace for 1 defender, 2 defenders. I'm not just talking about running past, but running through. He doesn't have those attributes. That's what I mean. Willy Gnonto should be, every winger in the league should be afraid of Willy Gnonto. They're not. I wouldn't be.
I think they are.
I wouldn't be. I'd be like, all right, this guy, sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't.
Well, if he's that bad, you're looking at Millwall and the double trebling up on him yesterday. So they're clearly.
He's running into the pressure. They're not tracking 3 players out of their positions to mark him. They're not man marking with 3. That's not what they were doing.
Was getting kicked every single time he's got the ball.
5. He got fouled 5 times, and that's a reason. That's a good number. I'm not throwing that out there as it wasn't good. That's more evidence that he should be killing these guys week in, week out. He doesn't do it. Why? There's something missing from his game. There's something missing from the application. I think he drifts in and out of matches. And for a guy of his talent, his caliber, I just think it'd be such a waste if he doesn't learn to apply it every week. That's why I'd be frustrated with him.
I think he's in his weakest position when he comes on.
If he were a guy like Dan James, who I think is playing as good as he's going to play at the level that he's well suited for, I would say, you know what? I'm not going to ask anything more of Dan James because I think he's maybe playing a little bit above his level right now in a league that he's very comfortable with. Willy, I'm never going to be satisfied with a guy that should and could be a Premier League player that is just skating by in the championship. No way. No way. I want him to want to be a great player. I don't know that he wants to be a great player. I don't know that. That would frustrate me as a teammate. I would be like, man, I'm physically limited. You're not. He's a little bit vertically, but other than that, I'd say, listen, man, you should be absolutely bullying people in this division week in, week out. You should be a contender for man of the match every single time we play because I think you're that good. If you develop a killer instinct, nobody's going to be able to stop you. But you can't just turn it on and turn it off as a player because the competition does get better.
There's got to be context, though. I get what you're saying. There's got to be. He doesn't. When was the last time he started a game?
Why do you think he was taken out of the starting lineup? His performance
would it affect Dan James? Would it affect Dan James if you starting one game in every 6, and then he was coming on for 20?
Yeah, because Dan James isn't good enough to come back and make an instant.
No, but that's not the question. The question is, would it affect his performance? Of course it would. Of course
he's not good enough to come in cold and do it. I think Gnonto is.
No, but right, well, you think Gnonto is. That doesn't mean that's going to be how his performance is week in, week out.
Do you not think he is?
If I'm when I used to play at a pretty decent level, if I'm getting taken out and if I'm starting 1 in every 7 or 8 games, then I'm coming on for 10, 15 minutes per game. Bearing in mind, he came on against Cardiff and scored that worldy goal, right? Yeah, that's a pretty decent contribution. I understand. Yes, 100%. I understand. Yesterday he's not blowing up. I completely get that, but he's in a front line. Look at the front line.
Ramazani is on the other side of him.
I understand that, and look, I've been pioneering for Ramazani to be featuring a little bit more. Completely understand that. The whole point it's a disjointed front four of which we're regularly seeing, Gabe. So it's not a put together front four of which the combinations are learned, the partnerships are learned. This is context. It is context. Is that affecting Dan James's performance if he's in that context? It is. It is. Do you remember?
This is the whole thing, and I'm not saying he's this talented, but I'm about to do an Oscar on you. Do you remember when Steve McLaren was the English coach and he kept benching David Beckham?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just wouldn't play him. Capello did the same thing at Real Madrid. Just wouldn't play him. Brings him back in the team. Instant contributions, instant assists, bang, long, beautiful crosses. Just putting it on the head of the other player. The players that are great and can be great and have that much more talent than other guys, they don't need. They're going to be at the peak of their powers if they're playing week in, week out. 100%, no doubt. But they're that much better than the players around them. Or if we think maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm overrating his talent. But I think he should be coming off the bench and killing guys. And he's not. And it frustrates me because I'm like, we should not be thinking we need to sign more players. We've got Ramazani and Gnonto with Joseph playing as a haphazard team put together. That should be a starting 11 for other championship teams. So for me, it's just not good enough with him. I'm not saying there are character issues. I'm not implying that. I don't know. And I have no evidence to say so. So I wouldn't say that. There is something missing, and I think it's just application and consistency. But I'm worried that he's going to blink and he's going to be 24, 25, and he's just going to be any other player. Because if he's this good, then he should be able to. There are players in this league that have come through, and you're like, Christ.
But as well, so Michael, I'm seeing Solomon's. Nobody's saying leave Solomon out, fella. Nobody's saying leave Solomon out. Let's not move the goalposts here. We're talking about the impact that Gnonto's making. We're talking about the impact
when he's on the pitch. I should be dazzled, but I'm not.
Piroe should be starting right now over Joseph. 100%. Yes. Solomon should be starting right now over Gnonto. I mean, yeah.
Gnonto should, every time he gets on the pitch, Conor, in my opinion, he should be reminding the manager why he shouldn't be left out of the team. He's not doing that.
I think he's played in his weakest position, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. There's no way he's a right. There's no way he's a right. He's not a right winger. Nowhere. We've seen him more dangerous off the left. We've seen him better in the camp for me than what he's on the right. I don't think he's a right winger.
I mean, both of our wingers like to cut inside. You know,
that's the problem. Yeah, that's 100%. I think look, you got Ramazani. We said this at the start of the season. We said this on this show. You got Ramazani, I think Gnonto and Solomon, who are all better off the left. All better off the left for me. So yeah, I think Yeah, it's a conversation to have, isn't it? But right now, it definitely should be 100%. Let's see what Michael's saying. Got it. I was thinking you're making a case. No, mate, I'm not 100%. I am not making it. Do you know what I'm trying to do right now? We're trying to have a bit of a debate. We're trying to have discourse. I understand it's heating people up in the chat. I completely get that. Right now, everybody else and Gabe is right. The starting 11 now, we are top of the division. Do you change that right now? Absolutely not. Do I think there can be adaptations? Do I give excuses for the players? Of course I do, 100%, because I believe in our front line. I think our front line is very, very good. I think where Gabe's coming from a lot of the times, he doesn't rate it at points in terms of maybe ceiling, ability, whatever it is, as highly as I do. I think right now
I think cream rises to the top. That's what I think. So if these players are that good, then it should be so obvious that Varka's getting lineup selections wrong. You know what I mean? Like when they come on, they should absolutely blow the top off it. And that's the point I'm making, especially in this division. And there have been players that have come through. Can you imagine like deciding, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bench Crescencio Somerville and I'm going to run with no, because every time Crescencio Somerville came on, you're just like, yeah, this is a cheat code. He's better than everybody in this division. People have said Gnonto's a cheat code, but it hasn't. A cheat code is like you win every time or it works every time. It doesn't. And I don't know why, because it should. So either A, I'm vastly overrating his talent, or B, something's wrong.
I think Goy Bab's right here as well. I think what he's saying is not all players are the same. Some struggle off the bench. Some are bench specialists. Gnonto, I think he struggles to get into the game immediately. I think that's bang on. I think it's the position as well. It's not excuses. It's
I think
really
that's application. I think that's preparedness. Well, like for me, when a player, maybe this is too black and white, but when a player needs 30 minutes to get bedded into a game, you need to be focused and ready to go for minute one. That's my opinion.
So you think, let's say hypothetically, if Dan James was on the bench and he came in and played in central attacking midfield, he'd be as good as he was at right wing, as so long as he had application and focus.
What?
So I'm saying with Willy Gnonto, if he came on, let's say on the left-hand side or started on the left-hand side, it's going to be more advantageous to Willy Gnonto. That's the whole point here right now.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the Dan James as a number 10 analogy.
Well, it feels like you're veering on the lines of application and focus when you come off the bench. So I'm saying, let's say hypothetically, if Dan James was on the bench and you put him in a different position adverse to what his strongest position was, which is what Willy Gnonto does every single game, coming on the right wing for 15 minutes, do you think Dan James would be as good application?
Okay. I have to say, Willy Gnonto has played far more games in the right the right winger position that he has on the left, both for his country and for other clubs. So this is an apples and oranges discussion. Dan James is strictly a one position player. You can't play him in versatility. Willy Gnonto has more skills, so you can play him in other positions. But to say you're playing him in an unnatural position as a right winger just isn't true. He's played most of the matches in his career in that position. So I want to say that. That being said, hypothetically, let's say that's not true. Let's say he's played mostly on the left and we put him on the right.
Yeah.
Do I think he would be as impactful? No. That's different than saying it takes him 30 minutes to get into a game. Those are two different discussions, because it wouldn't matter how long it takes him. If he's playing in an unnatural position, he's not going to be better 30 minutes in. He's not going to be great in that position because he doesn't know it as well. But if it takes you 30 minutes to get into 30 minutes is a number I made up. But if it takes you a while to get into the game, for me, that says you're not dialed in and ready to play from the first minute. Shouldn't you be?
I just don't know how many times. How many players can we apply that to if you're not dialed in and perform instantaneously?
I think Ethan Ampadu comes in dialed in and ready to play. I think Ethan Ampadu comes dialed in ready to play, regardless of the position he's in. He's been playing as to play center half. He hasn't been perfect, but I don't worry about
what we're talking about now. Because you're talking about substitutes. So
no. I'm talking about focus.
Starting every game now.
No. I'm talking about focus. So whether you come in off the bench or you start the match, I don't think you need a warm-up period like a 1990s car to be more effective in your position. I think you should be ready to play.
You can't compare Gnonto's impact to Ampadu. Ampadu starts every game. What you talk?
I'm only talking about focus.
Right, but do you think Willy Gnonto's focus might be a little bit different? He was starting every game like Ampadu's is.
No, but didn't. Maybe we're just getting our wires crossed here. But didn't you mention you think it takes him a while to get into a game, whether he comes in on a sub or he starts?
Yeah, but
that's the only thing I'm talking about. I'm not talking about how good he is.
No, but I'd probably compare him to someone who's coming off the bench as well in comparison to Willy Gnonto, not to Ethan Ampadu who starts every game. for me. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'm only talking about like, so if I like, well, we've seen when he was coming back, we saw Ampadu come off the bench, and I thought he was dialed in from the first minute he got in. That's the only point I'm making, that there are players that I don't buy this excuse that, well, people need a betting in period once they come off the bench or when they start to be really impactful. No, like you're either ready to play or you're not.
I think you're very black and white, and maybe
when it comes to being mentally turned on, I am. Yeah, 100%.
It's that American mentality in it. Maybe I'm just too English, giving them too many excuses. Maybe that's what it is. It's not a case. It's a nice little debate to have. I think it's clear. I think Farke's getting it right 100%, and we're debating and we're top of the league. I mean, it feels like, look, if we're talking about the context, Gabe, as well. I mean, the meltdown. Oh my God! I mean, it has been. I mean, we've lost to Millwall. We've made 10 changes. I mean, dude, some of the DMs I was getting, some of the texts I was getting, never mind the YouTube comments. I just think it's way over the top. It's way over the top to where we are right now.
I still get racial abuse on my Instagram. They find my private Instagram account. I'm like, I didn't know that's possible. Let me ask you a question though. If it was a league game against Millwall we lost, would you be more fired up?
I'd be more. I
don't care because it's the cup, and I just want us to win the league. I care less.
I don't care. I really don't. I said it in the watch on before we started the game. I don't care. I just don't care. Like, it's upsetting the fact that we had 10 and 11 changes and Joseph didn't perform. It's upsetting that we didn't have Gila Volki perform. I mean, we've not even spoken about him, but it was. I think it was poor. 100%, but let's not beat around the bush here. We absolutely battered them on XG. We had a hell of a lot of chances. We had more big chances statistically than what they had. We had more shots on target. We had more. I know it sounds daft, and look, it sounds like I'm making excuses.
No, you're right. Liverpool just lost to Plymouth bloody Argyle. And it doesn't matter.
Exactly, and even in the position that we're in right now, it was Leeds' worst performance in a long time, but still. We played okay. Ramazani had 2 efforts. Chambers probably should have scored a couple of them. We had a penalty miss. I just think there needs to be a bit more context applied instead of what we got when we got online. Joseph is shit. Gnonto shit, and he's
I've been trying to keep the profanity off for
dude. The 49ers haven't backed Daniel Farke. Even though he's 5 points clear with a better goal difference.
We have the strongest side in the division, most goals in the division, but he's not been backed.
It's just mental. I find it absolutely mental. Like, I just do not understand it. And it's not coming from a backing certain things perspective. I think right now, this is my truth to it. I think Farke's doing a decent job, a really decent job. And I think the 49ers have backed him in the right way. And that is where I'm coming from. I completely understand that there's like this narrative out there that the 49ers haven't been good enough.
You know what? I think it comes from fear
of overdoing it.
If you give yourself an excuse, then if it doesn't work out, it's not just that my team's not good enough. It's that the fix was always in. I think it's a coping mechanism from people.
And that's it. And Justin, that's it. I'd like to know from you, mate, if that is, are you like happy with that? Are you MJ hype train has stopped and he ain't starting anytime soon? Is that like a...
Bring it back up. I need to read that because I'm not sure I understood it.
It's just like that's what I was getting a lot of yesterday. And it's
MJ
fine,
hype train has stopped and ain't starting any.
Well, he isn't
times. I don't.
Well, he isn't starting anytime soon. So that my whole point to that is, Justin, that's great, mate. But we're still top of the league. I don't want Joseph to fail. And I'm sure even if you believe, I don't know, 'cause I think we're kind of on the same page here. I want Piroe to be starting, but I don't want Joseph to fail. I think, as I keep saying on this, 2 things can be right. And I think this is where I'm a bit confused at the minute with the overall rhetoric. If people think Joseph's not good enough, as Gabe doesn't right now, and I don't think he should be starting. I think there's certain games which you can apply him 100%, and maybe I'd consider starting him. But if you don't think that's absolutely fine, once again, 2 things can be right. Piroe can be the starting striker now, but we don't need to get rid of Joseph, a 21-year-old lad who's applying his absolute trade for Leeds and trying his hardest. And it's
not like I was watching like, Joseph's playing bad.
This is it.
Like,
this is
bizarre.
This is it. Like, and I think as a fan base, like, we need to come together. And I think as a fan base, we need to be all wanting to get, and I got into my video the other day, Gabe, and you'll have seen it in the chat. It was streams of told you so about Joseph, Joseph shite. And I'm like, whoa, like, okay, fine. Like, that's all right. But is that going to convince me that we should have gone and got Cameron Archer? Absolutely not. And that brings me back to the conversation that I've just had right now with Gabe. I think Joseph can be his attributes with what we're seeing right now as a 21-year-old young lad. I think he can apply into the Premier League. And there's a conversation right now that it doesn't work as linear. And we've seen that with Rutter because Rutter's literally about to outstrip in the Premier League his goal scoring tally than what he had in the Championship. Also, one Patrick of Bamfordshire. He's got 17 goals in the Championship, of which he got in the Premier League, of which he got 16 goals in the Championship the season before. So football's not linear. So my whole point is right here. I think Joseph could, if in fact worked on in the right way and potentially had a loan out, I think he could work with the attributes he has got in the Premier League. So I don't think there's a worth in selling him right now when potentially in a few years' time.
You need to see what you have. You need to loan him out at the very least if we go up and see what we got.
Gabe, if he's crap, if he's this, that, and the other, if he goes out and flunks it on a loan, absolutely fine. Like we've seen with the likes of Gelhardt.
But he may go to La Liga on a loan and score like 10, 11 goals.
He might do that. He might go,
changes. Yeah.
He might go to a Real Betis when we're in the Premier League and he might do really well. Okay, then Leeds bring him back and we're having a completely different conversation right now. These are all things that can realistically happen, especially if the Betis deal of 10 million quid is true, because then you've got a team who are 8th in La Liga.
What's with Betis wanting all of our players? It's very weird.
I know, yeah. But they're willing to put money into a player who's barely played and according to some people is crap. So
wait, hang on, Connor, hang on. Bielsa's nay. You know that people go to other leagues and they don't speak the language, right?
I don't know what that means. I don't. What
He's
does
not
that mean?
going to La Liga. He doesn't speak Spanish.
I don't know what that means. I don't. Is that saying like he wouldn't go? I don't know. I don't know what that means. And he does speak Spanish. He definitely speaks Spanish. But I don't know what that means. Rumors say Joseph was pushing for a transfer, and now he's now pissed off. Tom, but this is
Tom, we don't know any of that stuff.
Tom, dude, I completely get what you're saying right now. This is why I'm saying if and but when it comes to Real Betis, because it might not have been true. The hype wagon from the club, we've all seen this before, lads and lasses, where they basically say to us as a vehicle, they say, oh, we're after this player, Emi Buendia, Fabio Carvalho, but we didn't quite get him. It's like, oh, that's quite interesting. That's why with Matteo Joseph, I'm saying as a precursor, if
I'm not sure how, by the way, I'm not sure how Harry Kane made it over at Bayern. He doesn't speak German.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, let's be honest.
Ronaldo at Al Nassr does not speak Arabic.
But he's also playing in the 21 squad, so presumably he is. And Tom said, I just don't. I think that is a dangerous way to go down, mate. It's a dangerous way to go down. And I guess the primary example is Rutter when he was a young lad, and there was, guys. I have the comment sections when I was doing these streams with Rutter. He's get him out. He's crap. This, that, and the other. Because of a few dud touches, a few dud performances. I think when you see potential in a player, I think he is the absolute learning curve of which you just got to stick with him for a little bit. Farke clearly rates him. The 49ers clearly rate him. If they did reject the bid, whatever, they might not have done, but they do clearly rate him. Anyway.
They're looking at a young player. Yep. You're not really sure what you have yet, right? You see a lot of talent, as you would at this level. And, you want to see what happens. Get him some league time.
He's helping. Maybe he did make you laugh. He was joking.
Oh, okay. Shout out, Bill. Well, you did make me laugh, BK. Oh, my God. I'm so glad that was a joke.
Yeah, he did.
The sarcasm doesn't come through in a comment. I
think this is a good comment from
BK wins.
I think this speaks to a lot of people as well. 21 is not a junior anymore. Joseph has shown so little, bang average. Bet there are many of that quality in other championship. But fair enough, mate. Yeah. What I would say just back to that is the Spanish under-21s, he's done it. Look, it's nothing. Pre-season for us, he showed huge presence. And what I would say is, look, and it can't be based on this season, but I'm talking about promise here. I'm talking about, potential expectation and ceiling. And I think this season in bouts, he's done it. So my overall point is for a young, which he still is, striker in his first season, I would say there's a chance. And of which Leeds are going to the Premier League, I don't think there's any point in them getting rid of him right now when they could potentially double his value. If, let's say,
by get rid, you mean a permanent sale?
Yes, and yes. I think as well, La Liga is a league of which, when you look at Joseph's attributes, I think he could do all right out there.
Honest, I want to see him in La Liga or the Eredivisie. That's where I want to see him, because I think he'd get a run of games.
Yeah.
Or even Ligue 1, to be honest. I think he'd get a run of games, and we get to see what we have. Again, young player, but by 22, you should be playing regular football.
Yeah.
If he goes out, does well, and for me, well would be like over 10, 11 goals in the season. Great. Does that, then that's a guy you hang on to. That's going to be an appreciating value. If he doesn't, then you want to try to bank in on him while he's young because he's a depreciating value. I'm not saying it's all on next season on loan. Like that's 100% what he's going to be. But I would say there's like a 60, 70% chance that we're going to know what he's going to be for Leeds next season.
He's going to come good.
I hope so.
I'm telling you.
It'd be a shame if he doesn't. I mean,
I'm telling you.
There's not a single player on our team sheet that I don't want to come good.
Yeah, and you. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm the oracle because I'm 100% not, and I've been wrong before, Matt Rocker.
But you would be a heck of a youth coach, though. Or like a young team coach. Honestly, because I'd be that guy in the senior team, be like, yeah, he's not playing for me. He's too young, untested, and I'd be saying, Gabe, get him in the team.
I'd be getting you out and putting him in.
You'd be saying, get behind the team.
Yeah, Rye says it needs to go somewhere though where he's going to be starting. I mean, there is a point there, but why would Leeds United, if he's going somewhere where he's going to be starting, just keep him around. Like keep him around. What? This is the thing, Gabe. We're top. We're 5 points clear. We've scored the most goals, most big chances created, greatest XG, most touches in the opposition box, second lowest XG conceded, or second highest, I should say, XG conceded. We are doing extremely well on every single metric. What's the problem? And this is the thing after yesterday. We're having these conversations if there's an existential crisis and we're in 4th and 5th and we've just missed out on a January position as if we can't then get into that top 2 and Ipswich and Leicester up there 10 to 13 points ahead of us. It's not that. We're top right now. The teams below us aren't great, if we're being honest. We have a real opportunity right now to get up there. We've got a week of fixtures right now where we can literally take out the opposition in a week. In a week, we can take out the opposition. And let's see where we are in the summer. We're in actually a really good position right now. An excellent position as a football.
I want to see us stand on the necks of these guys.
Yeah. We've said that. We've said that. Bully teams. And in all fairness, mate, in the league, when we haven't made 10 changes, and I'm making excuses, but I mean, we made 10 changes. If we've not made 10 changes and we've got that team in from the start, let's be honest, and I'll say it with my chest out, that team beats Millwall yesterday. It does. It beats Millwall. You've got Tanaka in the middle. You've got, Ampadu in the middle. You've got Strout, Rodon, Firpo, Bogle. You got a front line like it is. In my opinion, that team beats Millwall. And we'll wait
on paper, it certainly does. This is something I think that people struggle with too. The reason most of the players are in the championship is because they're not consistent. So players will have bad games, even the really good ones at this level. They'll have games where they just have stinkers. And sometimes the teams will just play bad. I've been in teams like that. I'm sure you have, where most of the time you're clicking. One day you're on there, it just feels weird, and you lose. And you're just like, wow, that was a terrible game. Let's just put that one behind us. It doesn't really mean anything. We just played poorly. So whether or not a certain team or a certain lineup would have won or not is irrelevant. This team is far and away good enough to win the league and to win the league by a substantial margin. That's what I want to see us do. I want to see, because there are going to be a lot of players who aren't going to be with us next season, right? In order for us to stay in the division. For the players that do, for me now that it's audition time, I want to see these guys become ruthless. And I think that's something our
fundamental error. That's a fundamental error. And you can talk about whose fault that is. I have my own opinion on whose fault that would be, but we can have a conversation about whose fault, who would be at fault for that. I think it's a culmination. I think it's both.
Well, what do you mean? Who would be at fault?
Well, I think a lot of people would say that's the 49ers' fault. I think a lot of people would say
it's like there's no such thing as a team in the championship that is going to go up and keep all their players and stay in the Premier League.
No, but I think what I'm saying is if we did fail to get to the Premier League, I'm saying that there would then be an ultimatum as to who's fault.
Like, what do you mean?
Okay, what I'll just say is then there is no problem. Mike, I think you're on the stream all the time, mate. The only problem is people are trying to get Gnonto and Joseph in there. I don't think people are doing this. I honestly don't think people are doing this. I think this is very, very largely based on maybe things that I was saying at the start of the season, but I've always been a big advocate of football being based on a meritocracy. I like Joseph's attributes. I like Gnonto's attributes. The whole thing, and Gabe was in the stream yesterday. I tried to make this as clear as possible. This is not to be patronizing or condescending, but sometimes it doesn't come across right. What I was clearly trying to say is, as secondary options right now, I think that Daniel Farke has more than enough at his disposal to get Leeds United promoted in terms of the secondary options. When you look at Gnonto, Solomon, Ramazani potentially in that number 10, Leeds going to a 4-4-2 as a secondary option with Piroe in there. Leeds as a secondary option going to a 4-3-3. All the players that we have at our disposal right now means that we can do all of these things, which other clubs can't do. We could go to 100%. A 3 at the back, guys. Guys, we could go to a 3 at the back. We could do a 3-4-3. All of these things, the formation fluctuation that we can have are because of the players at our disposal now who can play in multiple different positions. That's my whole point right now. So coming on here
this
and just saying
too good to not go up.
It's too good, and every other team will tell you that. So if every other team is telling you that, who hate Leeds as well, you've got to ask yourself.
If we don't go up, the entire league will be laughing at us.
Oh
again,
yeah, they will.
And the reason will be is because of how good this team is. Not just that Leeds isn't going up. They'll be like, you guys tried to buy your way up and it didn't work. Ha ha ha. That's literally what they'll say. And then Leeds fans will say, well, it's because we didn't spend enough money.
Yeah, and fair, Michael, as well. Yeah, and I know you're a level-headed guy, mate. I know you're a level-headed guy, and I know a lot of people are as well in my community, which is why, you know, it's always good getting involved in the community and the conversation. I think it's good to have this debate, and because you know, I want Gabe to come on here. I'm not hiding from it. You know, a lot of you guys, we had a conversation about it yesterday, and there could have been a conversation right now where I get a little echo chamber sorted and I get people in who just agree with me whatsoever. I got battered on the stream yesterday for daring to support Joseph. So I understood
Conor doesn't bring me on streams because I'm agreeable.
Never. This is not an echo chamber. When
not even the people in the chat most of the time.
Yeah, I think we've found the counterpoint, mate. Part 2.
Yeah.
So it's one of these where I don't bring this guy on to agree with me because I know he's going to push me the whole way, and he always has done. That's why we get Gabe on the channel, because he's articulate, he's a good lad, he's a friend of mine, but he'll push me the whole way as well, and he'll push your guys' thoughts as well, and it's thought-provoking as well.
And chat, by the way, do you think it's right that Conor finds these humiliating screen caps of me to put up?
I don't do that. Yeah, if you guys,
there it is for you.
If you guys can't aware.
Look like someone's pissed in my cornflakes. It's just,
dude, I look like Annie Lennox, mate. It's like Annie Lennox and Jurgen Klopp going at it. It's terrible. It's not good at all.
I look like Jurgen Klopp. Do you remember that one when he got in the referee's face and his jaw like unhinged?
Yeah, it was a day of which the whole comment section were calling you Jurgen Klopp there, mate. So. But as big girls do cry, Lene here as well, massive Sunderland fan. She's on my second channel, guys. If you want to check that out, it's Conor McGilligan on the second channel. But like, what I will say is, every single, even people I go on, and this is maybe something I've not conveyed to you, Gabe, as well. Every single person on that second channel, I've not heard not one person say on my second channel, you got Blades over there, Burnley, Sunderland, Millwall, even loads of other chat say Leeds won't go up. They're all saying Leeds are 100% going up. So that's, and look, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's the outside world as well. So we're kind of looking at it now from like an intro perspective and saying, oh, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. Right now, everybody thinks that Leeds are going up. So this would be the ultimate bottle.
It would.
It would be the ultimate bottle.
It would. By the way, I so appreciate the membership to the channel, Jeremy. Jeremy says, Gabe looks like an American serial killer. With friends like these, who needs enemies?
That is true.
I mean?
That is true. That is true. Ellen Generous. I'd take that over Annie Lennox, to be fair. It's a step up.
Annie Lennox isn't universally hated, though.
That's true. That is true. I think Ellen DeGeneres is over here now, isn't she? She's ran away.
She's run away from the blowback in the States.
She's ran away. Gabe and Conor, do you think we sign a striker?
Yes.
100%.
I think we sign a striker, a number 10, another central midfielder, another center half. I think we're going to see. I know this is tough for Leeds fans because you get sentimentally attached to these players, but I think we're going to see a mass exodus and a mass import. And there's a reason why we didn't spend a lot, because we need to have that money to stay in the Premier League. It is so difficult. Difficult.
To make my point clear, if Leeds go up with a strike force of Piroe and Joseph, we're coming straight back down.
Yeah,
but
the 10 is Aronson. I hate to say it. If Aronson is a 10 in the Premier League, we're coming down. If I think Tanaka can be a Premier League player,
Yeah.
I don't know. You're gonna hate this. Maybe
Careful.
we'll talk about this some other time.
Careful.
I don't know if Ampadu is a starting central midfielder in the Premier League. I don't know if he is.
Guy, you've done it. You've done it. You were going so well. They all loved you.
For next week. Next week we'll tune in and we'll talk about Ethan Ampadu.
Oh, Gabe, you've done it. You've done it.
I wanted to just break your brain before we ended the stream.
You've killed them now. They've all gone. They're all loving you at that
point. Wait. Oi, Bab said that can't be right, Gabe. The 49ers are only here to strip the club of assets. Run off into
He's joking. He's joking.
It must be joking because that ellipsis is a mile long.
Here we go. Get him off the channel. What I will say is, Chris is in with it. Chris, look, mate, big on the channel. There is evidence that Ampadu, because he's had a Premier League campaign, a couple of campaigns, I think, and he's not been great, but he has been part of a back three. I think Ampadu acclimatizes to the Premier League for me. He does. Big Barry's in the building with Dirty Leeds. Good lad, Barry. How many times are you going to serve this up, mate? Oh God, Barry's going that much. I can't get rid of him.
Barry bot.
Yeah, Big Bar's seeing a bit, mate. Farker probably thinks Ampadu is a Premier League centre back. Yeah.
He might.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think it's interesting, but I do think we're talking about this as if it's like, if Gnonto can't or isn't doing it in the Championship, he can't do it in the Premier League. I think that's rubbish. I think you've seen examples of players going up and performing better in the Premier League. I think that does happen. As I say, it's not one. Rutter.
He's scored more goals, way fewer assists.
Bamford. Yeah, went up the year after and scored more goals in the Premier League. So look, I think it can happen. I think it can happen. So we'll wait and see. On that one. But yeah, I think there's a lot. I think I agree with it. And by the way, if we went up, Gabe, what I will say to you is, just as a quick question, if we went up with Piroe and Archer, would Leeds stay up?
No.
Right.
No.
If Leeds,
I'm 100% with you about buying Cameron Archer if we could get him for like £3 million, yeah, obviously, but we wouldn't. We'd be spending like 20 plus.
If Leeds went up with Armstrong and Piroe, would we stay up?
No.
I think the big thing is as well is I think it's long-term vision as well. I want Leeds to be planning not to come back down. And they're gonna have to bring some gems out. The recruitment's gonna have to be spot on.
I mean, you would hope we would be rating the Bundesliga. You'd hope we'd be rating not just teams that are going down out of the Premier League. You hope we'd be rating some teams in the other top leagues as well. Because listen, as you've said, Leeds historically is a very, very big club. They've got the expansion plan for the stadium. They've got a massive amount of investment. And if the club stays in the Premier League, it can be. I mean, you will write your name in the history of this club as an absolute legend to solidify our place in the Premier League by coming. There are plenty of players with that competitive fire in other leagues that want that, and plenty of players in the Premier League as well, I think, who would want to come over to a club like Leeds. So for me, it's going to require a lot of investment. And that's why I could be wrong about this because, I don't know everything. I don't know, just because I live in San Francisco doesn't mean I know what the 49ers are up to. But you like to think that the reason we didn't aggressively spend in terms of overall money is because the PSR rules, and we're hoping to keep that war chest for the Premier League. So let's hope it.
Let's hope so. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Anyway, we're going to start doing these on Sunday at around about 8 p.m. If you want, and let us know a name, Gabe, not you, but in the chat, if you let us know a name for this, if you want, if you want a name, I don't know what you want to call it, but this is going to be probably us having a bit of a chat. It's not always
Revolutionary War 2.
No, but it's not always going to be like that because you can't unless you're just
recolonize the states.
Yeah, unless you're just being an annoying git, which I know you can be, and you're nitpicking a language. Then
usually with Oscar though.
Yeah, usually with Oscar. No. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to sort of name it. It's not just going to be arguments all the time, because sometimes we'll come on here and we'll be glowing and glossing about Leeds United's win, and maybe disagreeing on players and stuff. But ultimately, hopefully, we'll be agreeing on players. I think after yesterday and a loss, it's pretty prominent us having a bit of a discussion.
What would be the worst name for this show?
What would be the worst name?
Come on, chat. What would be the worst name for this show? Like just the most vomit-inducing We don't.
Paul, why not the counterpoint? Yeah, it could be something like that. Or like, has anyone got like a synonym for the counterpoint?
Yeah. we don't want to just rename it.
No,
late night gossip, Justin.
Chat shit, get banged. Metrosexual and the metrosexual.
Who's who?
I don't really think that's got any sort of like show sort of meaning to it. But yeah, there has to be some sort of like.
We can call it soccer time. Just like an American flag in the back.
But guys, Brownie's going to be back on the point counter. Brownie's going to be back on the channel tomorrow. We're going to be there with Oscar as well. Unfortunately, obviously, Gabe can't make it on Monday nights, obviously with work and just life out in San Fran. But please make sure you're over there and subscribe to the second channel as well. Gabe, we will see you probably next Sunday, my friend.
Next Sunday.
See you in a bit, guys. Cheers.